Shalom. I like to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, taught me this truth. Salutations, peace and salutations to the Akim, preaching this word with truth and sincerity around the four corners. And peace and salutations to the Akim and Akwat, the true believers of the hopeful elect. Lord's willing, I be part of that number. Just coming back in the spirit and theme of prophecy. And wanted to speak about, these crazy, this crazy time that we're living in. It's a dangerous time, but it's a beautiful time to be alive because the world is changing as we speak. The different laws and legislations that they're laying down for the people. So I got a couple of news articles I'm gonna read, get a couple of scriptures, and Lord's willing, this will be edifying. All right, this is from the Brennan Center for Justice. It says the Posse Comitatus Act explained. Says the law generally prevents the president from using the military as a domestic police force. Because if you haven't heard, the government has passed the DOD directive, Department of Defense Directive 52. Matter of fact, let me see if I could pull it up. 5240.01. Yeah, I think this is it. Oh, it's a PDF. Yeah. It says DOD Directive 5240.01 is a Department of Defense policy document that outlines how military intelligence components assist U.S. law enforcement. So basically, military is gonna help the police in detaining regular civilians. And they passed the bill or the directive where it says they can use lethal force, so they're gonna be able to kill you. You Americans. It says the Posse Comitatus Act bars federal troops from participating in civilian law enforcement except when expressly authorized by law. This 143-year-old law embodies an American tradition that sees military interference in the civilian affairs as a threat to both democracy and personal liberty. However, recent events have revealed dangerous gaps in the law's coverage that Congress must address. Then it goes on to say, what does the term posse comitatus mean? In British and American law, a posse comitatus is a group of people who are mobilized by the sheriff to suppress lawlessness in the country. In any classic Western film, when a lawman gathers a posse to pursue the outlaws, they are forming a posse comitatus. The Posse Comitatus Act is named because one of the things it prohibits is using soldiers rather than civilians as a posse comitatus. Yeah, so as you can see, they're coming down with great wrath. The devil's coming down with great wrath, man. What are the origins of the Posse Comitatus Act? Actually, before I read that, let me get a quick preset. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 94, verse 16. Says, "Who will rise up for me against the evildoers, or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity?" And that's what you see in Esau doing. The Posse Comitatus Act. You know, they coming and they framing mischief by law. Matter of fact, let me get that. Verse 20, "Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee?" And the throne of iniquity is Esau. You know, he commits sin after sin after sin and just does wickedness. He's the border of wickedness, like it says in Malachi, the first chapter. "Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? They gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous and condemn the innocent blood." Yeah, and that's what Esau is doing, condemning the innocent blood. And the innocent is the Israelites, your so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You know, ever since they opened up the borders and allowed the migrants to come in, this is part of their order ab chaos, order out of chaos, problem, reaction, solution. It says, what are the origins of the Posse Comitatus Act? The Posse Comitatus Act was passed in 1878 after the end of the Reconstruction and the return of white supremacists to political power in both southern states and Congress. Through the law, Congress sought to ensure that the federal military would not be used to intervene in the establishment of Jim Crow in the former Confederacy. Yeah, and Jim Crow was created to oppress Jake, because after slavery, they had the Jim Crow laws. You know, that's why it makes no sense for Israelites to vote. And you're voting for the lesser of two evils because they say they want Trump in there. It makes no sense to vote. They're both two wings on the same hateful bird, like Elder Malcolm would be saying. And it's true. And plus, you don't pick your presidents. They get selected from an electoral college. So it really makes no sense for you to vote. And plus, that's against the law. And Deuteronomy, the 17th chapter, tells you that you're not supposed to pick a leader or a king that's not from your family line, from your nationality. And these Edomites are not from our nationality. Despite the ignominious origins of the law itself, the broader principle that the military should not be allowed to interfere in the affairs of civilian government is a core American value. It finds expression in the Constitution's division of power over the military between Congress and the President, and in the guarantees of the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments, which were in part reactions to abuses committed by the British Army against American colonists. Today, the Posse Comitatus Act operates as an extension of these constitutional safeguards. Moreover, there are statutory exceptions to the law that allow the president to use the military to suppress genuine rebellions and to enforce federal civil rights laws. And ultimately that's what they want to do. They want to get rid of the Constitution, and they're going to, because that's the only thing that and I believe in something else is just standing in the way. The Constitution is standing in the way of their new world order, where it says everybody will own nothing and be happy. That's why they're going to crack down on free speech. There's no longer going to be free speech. You're not going to be able to have a right to press. You're not going to have you're not going to be able to plead the fifth. None of that. All these amendments are going to get thrown out the window. And we're just here blowing the trumpet, warning the people. Let me see. I'm gonna read a little bit more of this. It says what does the Posse Comitatus Act say? The Posse Comitatus Act consists of just one sentence. Whoever, except in cases and under circumstances expressly authorized by the Constitution or Act of Congress, willfully uses any part of the Army or the Air Force as a Posse Comitatus or otherwise to execute the laws shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 2 years or both. In practice, this means that the members of the military who are subject to the law may not participate in civilian law enforcement unless doing so is expressly authorized by a statute or the Constitution. And that's why they came up with that directive, 5240.01. Let me see. I got another article that popped up. This is from Natural News. Execution squads. Update to DOD directive expands military authority to use lethal force against Americans. That's why they come in with these laws and legislations. Matter of fact, before I read it, let me get another precept. This is an unrighteous decree. This is Isaiah chapter 10, verse 1. It says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. Yeah, and this is what Esau is doing. Coming with these execution squads. Being able now they're able to use lethal force against American citizens. I'm not gonna read all of it, just read a little bit of it. It says, with the election only a few weeks away, the Department of Defense has given the U.S. military authority to assist in domestic law enforcement, including giving them the right to use lethal force against American citizens under certain circumstances. It's a development that has largely gone under the radar despite its very significant implications. DOD Directive 5240.01 is not new, but it did just get an update last month. Yeah, I believe that was in September. So it was September 27th. That's when they updated it. That is rather convenient for those in charge and deeply upsetting to those who value their constitutional rights. It expands the list of circumstances in which the DOD is allowed to use deadly force while helping civilian law enforcement, potentially paving the way for using such force under a very vague definition of national security. It says, although directives issued by the DoD tend to pertain to internal policy, in this case, the ramifications could affect every American and potentially infringe on their constitutional rights under certain circumstances. See, I told you, the Constitution is going to be they're going to do away with the Constitution. That the law of the land is not going to be the law of the land anymore. They're going to implement martial law. It's the book of Micah chapter 2 verse 1. And you read the head and it says, woe to the oppressors. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses, and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. Yeah, and this is what's happening, you know. They're oppressing the men, and the women, and the children, but mainly the men. And what man I'm talking about? Talking about the Israelite man, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man. If that's who this is for, you know. Yeah, that's about it on that. And I got another last one. This is from The Week. This is a speed read, like it says. It says Trump's plan for a second term reportedly includes firing squads, hangings, and group executions, just like we read in the other article, execution squads. It says, as Donald Trump's second re-election bid begins to pick up steam in the new year, details about the former president's plans for his return to the White House have begun to emerge, including a new report from Rolling Stone, which alleges Trump has been polling his advisors on whether he should bring back firing squads, hangings, and even the guillotine should he win in 2024. Yeah, that's how you get Revelation, the 20th chapter, 20 and 4. Where it says the people that would be the men that were beheaded for the testimony of Yahushua. Trump is bringing all this back. Firing squads, hangings, and the guillotine. According to two sources, the former president has even begun exploring the possibility of group executions, with a third person claiming Trump has expressed interest in the government and ad campaign to highlight the administration's lethality and per Rolling Stone source, help put the fear of God into violent criminals. A Trump's campaign spokesperson denied the former president had plans for an execution in the campaign in a statement to Rolling Stone. And it goes on to say, yeah, so this is what's going down, man. Let me get another preset. There's the book of Revelation, chapter 12. Actually, I could start at 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our power and the power of his anointed. For the accuser of our brethren, which is Esau, is cast down, which accused them day before our power, day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Yeah, so this is what you're going to be faced with. You're going to be faced with either you get down with their system or you're going to die. Like, that's basically it. And the men of the Lord are not with this system, so we're preparing to die. I'd rather die than to live under Esau with the micro C hip in me. This is not living. We don't even exist in this society. When I say we, I'm talking about the children of Israel. We don't exist. We barely exist. We're, in this society, we're a no people to these Edomites. Verse 12, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Yeah, and this is what you're seeing. That's why they come in with their execution squads. They passed the DOD directive. You got Trump saying he's going to bring back group executions and hangings and guillotines and firing squads. I tell people to make sure they pay attention. There's the book of Ephesians chapter 5 verse 15. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Yeah, bad times is coming to America. So it would behoove you to pay attention, especially listen to the prophets of the Lord. The book of Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Yeah, and the vision is speaking loud and clear. This devil wants to put everybody in a quagmire, in a trick bag. But the Lord got him in a trick bag. Because like it says in the book of Job, when he's about to fill his belly, and then that's when he's going to be in straits, and that's when the Lord going to rain down on him. So I'm just blowing the trumpet. Lord's will, you was edified. Till next time, I'm going to say shalom to the elect.